Alright, so I'm going to do a higher level cash flow question, and one of the ones that comes up for 100 marks on the exam. So cash flow questions can come up in the section A for 60 marks, or in the section B or section 2 for 100 marks. If they come up for 60 marks, they are just like the ordinary level ones. You're given an abridged profit and loss account, you're given a balance sheet, and you're asked for the same three things. Okay, so it's just the ordinary level one, but some slightly trickier stuff on it. If it comes up for 100 marks, then there's just an extra bit at the start. So you're not given that profit and loss account that you're normally given. So you're just given a balance sheet, and then you're given a bit of extra information. And the first thing they ask you for is prepare an abridged profit and loss account for the year. Okay, so they don't give you that little profit and loss account like you normally get. You have to prepare that yourself. And once you've got that done, it's into the same type of question as the ordinary level one, as a 60 mark higher level one. But first, the abridged profit and loss. So that's what I will do first on this question. All right. So to do this abridged profit and loss account, I basically need to start at the end of the profit and loss account and work back to the operating profit, which is what I usually start with because I need the operating profit for my cash flow statement. So what I would say is just kind of fill out the bones of a profit and loss account, and then we'll actually find the numbers to put on that. All right, so your abridged profit and loss is generally going to start with, or it is going to start with, your operating profit. Then you're going to add other income to your operating profit. So that'll be investment income, is what tends to come up in the question. And then, all right, so we're going to add those two things together. All right. Then we're going to take away interest, we're going to take away tax, we're going to take away dividends, and get my retained profit. All right, and that's the order you take them away in. Okay, so you're going to add these two things together, and then you're going to take away interest. When you subtract interest from it, you call it the profit before tax. That gives you the hint that the next thing we're going to take away is tax. And then that's profit after tax. And then I'm going to take away dividends. And then that answer there is my retained profit for the year. All right, I would add that then to the profit and loss account that's there at the start of the question. So add on the P&L balance on the first of the first, so at the start of the period, and then those two added together will give me the P&L balance on the 31st of the 12th at the end of the year. So that's what I would normally do in preparing a profit and loss account. I'd start with operating profit. I'd obviously have all this information, and I would go down this way. With this one, these are the two numbers that I have. All right, they're down the bottom of my balance sheet. Operating profit is what I need to get. All right, so all these numbers along the way, I'll be able to figure those out. So what I'm doing is I'm actually working up the profit and loss account to get back to the operating profit. All right, so as I said, I fill this out from the bottom. So the profit and loss balance at the end of 2015, so balance sheet over here for 15, P&L balance is 76,000. and the profit and loss balance at the start of that year or at the end of the previous year is 119,400. So start of the year was 119,000, end of the year is 76. We actually must have made a loss that year. So I'm going to go 76,000, take away 119,400, and that's a loss of 43,400. So the retained profit for this year must have been retained loss, I guess, must have been 43,400. All right, so we'll call it a retained loss. It doesn't really matter too much if I didn't change that. All right, so then less dividends. So I need to figure out what the dividends for the period would be. All right, so remember, this is a profit and loss, so it's dividends and it's tax and it's interest attributable to the period. Okay, so not the actual amounts paid. That's what we'll do. That's what the cash flow is for. So it's the amounts that are actually for this period. With dividends, there tends not to be a difference between them. There shouldn't be a difference between them. So just looking through this extra information that I'm given here, it tells me that a dividend of 12 cents per share was paid at the start of December 15. Okay, so for every share I'd issued, I pay a dividend of 12 cents. So let's look, and we see that, yeah, so it's 850,000. So called up share capital, 850,000. So it's 850,000 shares that I have issued. Okay, now it's 650 last year and it's 850 this year. They do tell me in the question that I issue 200,000 during 2015, but they don't tell me when. Okay, so I'm just going to assume that it's 850,000 that are in issue on the 1st of December when this dividend was paid. Okay, so all I'm going to do is it's 12 cents per share and there's 850,000 shares, so 850,000 multiplied by 12 cents. That's a dividend of 102,000. So that's the dividend for 2015, okay, or whatever this period is. So 102,000. So normally I would have the profit after tax. I would take away the dividends and then get the retained loss. I'm working the other way, so I'm going to start with the retained loss. I'm going to add the dividends back and get this number. So just don't kind of stoply take them away or anything like that. Just remember you're working back, so you need to add those back. So it's the minus 43,000 plus the 102,000. Yeah, 43. So 58,600 must have been my profit after tax. 58,600 take away the 102 is the minus 43,400 that I got. All right, the next one then is the tax for 2015. All right, so let's look at this. So there's 3 pieces of information that are relevant: 55 here, 82 here, and the 43 here. So what do I know? At the end of last year, I owed 55,000 euro of tax. So that's 55,000 for 2014. Okay, so that's for the last period. So that doesn't belong in this profit and loss account. This profit and loss account is just 2015 stuff. So none of that 55 should appear in it. All right. Now what happens? During the year, I actually pay 43,000 in cash. Okay, so that's what I actually pay in taxation. All right, 43,000. So of this 55, I seem to have paid 43 of it. All right, so that means 55 take away 43. So still 12 of this owing at the end of this year. So I owed 55, I paid 43. So that means I still owed 12 at the end of this period, but it's 82 that's here. So what must have happened is there was a tax charge of 82 take away 12, 70,000. in this profit and loss for this period. Okay, so the tax amount is 70,000. And what is that? It is the 82,000 owing at the end of this year, take away basically the 55 minus 43. So that's what was owed, take away what was paid. So here's 12 grand still owing. I take that away from the 82 that's owing at the end of the period. So that's another 70 in taxation that I must have added on in this period. So that's my tax charge for 2015. All right, same thing again. Okay, so normally I will be taking the tax away because it's an expense, it's something I have to pay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 58 plus 70 and get 128,600 here as the profit before tax. So then I've got interest. So for interest, I think they'll probably give me enough information to actually just figure out the interest charge for the year without going into the balance sheet. So, where will I take? Yes, so here. So yeah, so 10% debentures. It's 200,000 I owe, or I have in debentures. So loans. The end of this year, it's 150 at the end of last year. So I just want to check, when did I get that extra 50 grand of a loan? And it tells me there that the debenture loan was issued on the 1st of July. Okay, so at the start of this year I would have owed 150 grand, and then halfway through the year I borrowed another 50 grand or issued another 50 grand in debentures. All right, so they are 10% debentures. So what I'm going to do is I might just do a little note. Let's move this up and do just a little working for interest. So interest is going to be made up of the 150,000 I owed at the start of the year, multiplied by, they are 10% debentures, and I owe that for the full period of 2015. Okay, so that I owed 150 at the start, I still owe that 150 at the end. So 150,000 by 10%, that's 15,000 interest. What I also did is get out another 50,000 of a loan, or issue another 50,000 debentures. That's also a 10% debenture. But this was only issued on the 1st of July. So July, August, September, October, November, December. That's 6 months of the year. So there's only 6/12 of that should go in to the profit and loss account. So 50,000 by 10% is 5,000, and half of that is 2.5 grand. Add the two of those together and you get 17,500. So that's the interest charge for the year. All right. So again, normally I would go this number, take away 17,500 is equals this. So what I'm going to do is the 128,600 plus 17,500, and that will be 146,100. All right. The next one then is your investment income. You'll see if you go back to some of the exam questions, they mightn't have investment income in it, but just always check. It does come up regularly enough. It's just not always there. So yeah, okay. So financial assets, investments in the balance sheet. Again, just watch out. It's 80,000 last year. It was 120 this year. So I bought new investments, but I'm told I got those new investments on the 1st of January. Okay, so it's going to be investment income on the 120,000 for the full year. Okay, so if that said on the 1st of March or something like that, I'd need to worry about kind of the extra investment income and when did I get it, and kind of splitting it into like I did for the interest. It's a bit easier here. So what am I told? The investments yield a return of 10% per year. Okay, so the investment income is just going to be 120,000 multiplied by 10%, and that's 12,000. Just remember, that's investment income will be added on to operating profit. So we will be doing this number plus this number is 146. So just going the other way, it's going to be 146, 100. Take away the 12,000 is equal to 134, 100. And that's your operating profit worked back to. Okay, so that's your abridged profit and loss account. As I say, that's the extra bit you're asked to do on a 100 mark question on one of these. If it was a 60 mark question, if it was an ordinary level question that we've seen before, you'd be given this. Okay, so from here on out, it is what we've seen before, because it's a higher level question, it'll be a slightly trickier version of it, but from here, we're more familiar with it. This, as I say, is the new bit, working out this abridged profit and loss account.